Hey guys, James here, back with another video. Now you've read the title. Today is a comparison between the Ultrasharp 2419H with the Ultrasharp 2417H, the 2017 model, and the P2419H. Now this video was originally going to be a part of the P2419H unboxing and walkthrough video. However, I realized it was too long, and so I decided to put it as a separate video. So if you haven't watched that video, you can go here. Make sure you watch that first, because I do talk about a few things that I reference here. So it'll be good to watch that one, and then you can continue on watching this video. Hope you enjoy. So now I'm going to be comparing the U2419H with the U2417H. So this is my old Ultrasharp, which I've been using, and I'll be adding this one to my setup. I'm just going to compare the stands first. So something that you'll notice straight away is that the stand size is smaller. There's a smaller profile. And something else you'll notice is that it doesn't have this circle anymore. And as I said, the circle has moved to the top here. So all the pivoting movement is now on this hinge right here rather than the entire thing moving. And I think that's a really good feature, because when you move this, your cables also have to move. So you can see the cables here, the cable hole here, and that has to move with it. Whereas this, the cables stay the same and you just move the top. I think that's a change that Dell really have made to this stand. I'm not sure if you can see through this picture here, but you can see that the stand is also much thinner. This is a much more bulkier stand. This is super thin. The first thing which I noticed when I picked it up. Now you can see here the layout for the rubber is pretty much similar. You have one on each corner and then in the middle. But as you can see, the smaller footprint is a big thing. Now something else you'll notice is that the shaft is a lot thicker on the older model, and it's a lot thinner on this model. Now the display hole is slightly lower on this one and slightly higher on the new one. But essentially it's the same locking mechanism. You can use them interchangeably for each monitor. It doesn't really matter. Okay, so in terms of range of movement, it is a slightly higher, ever so slightly, probably maybe 1 centimeter higher. That's probably maybe because the base is also higher. In terms of the going down length, it's very similar as well. Now, in terms of the panning function, I would say this one does tilt slightly more. I think just with this new mechanism, it probably does pan slightly more. Now, something which I notice as well is that it's much more easier to pan this compared to this one, because the whole base has to pan, whereas this is just that mechanism here. This is also a much heavier, much thicker monitor. So I'm not sure if you'll be able to see in this comparison, but you can see that this is just so much more thicker compared to this. It's so much more thinner. So the technology has definitely improved in terms of the comparison of these two, essentially 2 years worth of difference here. Definitely a lot heavier as well, but this is so much more thinner. Now I just want to quickly compare the two monitors. Now, as you can see, it's very similar. The top one here is the 2017, bottom one is 2019. IC ports the same. So these are both HDMI. You have DisplayPort as well. Now, the thing that's unique about the 2017 is that it has mini DisplayPort in. This does not have mini DisplayPort in. So this technically has 3 inputs, and then they both have the DisplayPort out for daisy chaining. And you have both of them have the 3.5mm audio output, as well as the USB 3.0 downstream. So you have the downstream as well as the 2 ports, and both of them also have the USB ports on this side as well. Here you can see a good view of the USB ports as well. You can see the general design is very similar, but you can see there's more vents on the bottom just for cooling. And the menu buttons have shifted slightly more to the middle compared to the very right side of the older model. Now on the top you can see there's this little small slit. That's for the venting, whereas now the venting is at the very top of the monitor. So they've changed that design for cooling as well. In terms of looks, very similar design. You got the black at the bottom and then the gray at the top. Now this is just a real rough side-by-side comparison. So the left one is the 2017 model, the right one is the 2019 model. The left one is running off my Dell XPS, the right one's running off my MacBook Pro. Colors are very similar. I would say the right one is the 2019 version is slightly brighter. That could just be the actual, the laptop itself, but Very, very similar in terms of color accuracy, not much difference in terms of variation between the two. All right, so now we're going to be comparing the U2419H to the P2419H. So this is the Ultrasharp, this is the Professional, same year. Now, as you can see, the base is relatively same kind of footprint. The P24 has a slightly more boxier, squarish base, whereas the Ultrasharp is a bit more rectangular, but the rubber feet layout is pretty much the same. It's just that the U24 is just slightly more wider in terms of the base. In terms of the back, both pretty much the same thickness, and the cable management hole is roughly the same. But what you'll notice straight away is that the base of the U24 is very much thinner than the P24, very similar to the 2017 versions. It seems that this newer, thinner profile is unique to the U2419H and above series. So hopefully we'll see more of that. Now, both use the same mounting mechanism, so I can use either monitor on these stands. Again, big difference here, you don't have a circle because the pivot point is on this point rather than on the base, which again, I said is a great thing because you don't have cables, constantly moving while you're pivoting the monitor. It remains stationary. Something else you'll notice to match the color scheme. So this gray is to match the gray on the back of the monitor, and this black is to match the black on the P24 monitor as well. The U24 is slightly higher, probably because of thicker stand. In terms of the going down as well, very, very similar range of motion. In terms of the pivoting, I'm going to have to get used to not pivoting the stand. Probably is the same. I still think this is slightly more. Could just be my eyes. Looks very, very close. Very, very close anyway. But it's just the convenience factor. And I think as well, this is much easier to pivot than it is to pivot this, 100%. This has more resistance than this. Both have very similar motion of tilt. Not much difference there. And it's mainly on the stand, really. And then both are able to do rotation. Now, in terms of the displays themselves, P2419H, U2419H, you can see very, very thick border at the bottom, very, very thin border at the bottom here as well. Dell logo, really big, Dell logo, really small. Now, side by side, this is the P24, U24, much thinner in overall, but they're pretty close, but this is still much thinner. We still have the same heatsink holes at the top. In terms of the back, again, quite similar. Both Visa 100 by 100, both have the releasing lock, and it's just that this has a different color scheme to match the Ultrasharp series. On the left side, both have the same USB 3.0 ports on the side, but of course this one is unique because it has the charging. Now, in terms of connectivity, because it's an Ultrasharp and because this is professional, they are quite different. IEC is the same, HDMI is the same, DisplayPort is the same, but this one has DisplayPort out and audio out, whereas this one only has VGA in, and this doesn't have VGA in. Now, both of them have USB 3.0 downstream, but the P24 only has USB 2.0 at the back. U24 has USB 3.0 at the back. Both of them has USB 3.0 on the sides. Now, we can see from this angle as well that the U24 does have extra vents at the bottom for cooling, and the buttons, it's very much to the right side, whereas it's kind of come into the middle for the U2419H here. So this is a side-by-side comparison. Now, first thing, the camera won't do it justice. You won't be able to see the true accuracy of the colors, but you have to take my word from it. I do think that the Ultrasharp is slightly sharper. Even though it has roughly the same pixel density, there's just something about the right image that makes it look more crisp, more clearer, and the colors are just so much more vibrant, so much more richer. The P24 just looks a little bit more flat. Now, it's still a good quality monitor, but the Ultrasharp really takes the vibrancy up to the next level. Definitely, you can notice the difference. The colors are a little bit more accurate on the Ultrasharp, whereas the left one, the colors are a bit dull, not as rich and probably true to the actual edit that I did. Those are the two differences. Definitely Ultrasharp, much sharper, as well as just the colors a lot more vibrant than the P24. That's pretty much it for this video. I really hope it was informative. I hope you guys liked it. Help you to be able to decide whether it was worth upgrading or, deciding between the professional or the Ultrasharp series. There'll be links in the descriptions for each of these monitors if I'm able to find them. And when you use those links, you really help to support the channel. So I really appreciate that. But yeah, like this video if you liked it, dislike if you disliked it. Leave a comment below if you have any questions or any comments about this video or about these monitors, and I'll try to get around to answering those for you as soon as I can, and if I'm able to answer those questions. But subscribe to see more videos like this in the future, and I'll see you guys in the next one.